one person takes a shot but doesn't swallow it and then spits it in person.
Ew.
Yeah. Yep. So I learned what baby
Hard
are.
pass.
Did you do this?
I had to be part of the group, so that's my initiation.
I'll go first.
1, 2, 3, 4.
As long as I only have a 4-day work week, I'm in.
It'll probably be a 3-day. It'll
We can
probably be
make
a
that
3-day
happen.
work week.
Perfect.
Required though 1 day a week, running or skiing or mountain biking or something. So it's 3 days of work, 1 day of adventure, 3-day weekends.
Okay, done.
Can I get in on this?
We'll see. We'll see. Let's
I
see
don't
what we
mind.
do here. All right. So we are live on YouTube, OTR Live with Karen Clark. This is something we started a few months ago. We'll go live a couple times a month. The episode will then drop on our RSS feed about a week and a half later on a Thursday, by the way. Only and always Thursdays. And that could
Mhm.
always change. But we were with Karen, a friend of the pod. Karen, how are you? You landed this morning at 1 a.m.?
I landed around 12:15. I was home by about 1 a.m.
Oh, so you landed in Manchester then.
I did.
Isn't that
That's
just
nice.
like a beautiful, awesome, epic airport?
It is. I almost didn't make it though. I had to sprint
Oh, no.
through Charlotte Airport, and they were closing the doors as I got there. So made it. My bags did not, but they were delivered tonight. So
Delivered to your door, or did you have to go get them?
Oh, Karen.
they were delivered to my door.
Oh, that is awesome. I had to go pick it up
Wow.
at the airport once.
Oh no, they offered to deliver them right to my door. Easiest way to get bags home, actually.
That is great. So you were
As long as you needed nothing out of them.
you were flying home though from Colorado, and what was in Colorado?
The Trans Rockies run was in Colorado, so I've been there for the last. I've been in Colorado for the last 9 days. I got there a couple days early, and then we ran for 6 days, and then travel day on the 7th.
That is so exciting, Karen. I saw some pictures between you and your friends, and I was just in awe. It looked absolutely gorgeous out there.
It really is. And amazing course, amazing crew. The whole production was absolutely phenomenal. Pretty much from the start, I got there. I spent a couple nights in Airbnbs, and then the night before the race, I camped with the crew, which you can add on camping before the event. So they have a crew of about 150 people, volunteers, that pretty much do everything. They set up your tents, they get dinner prepared, they have the finish line prepared, and they move it in between stages. So these 150 people pretty much are working the entire week. And I got to start meeting them the day before the race.
That's exciting.
Tell everybody what the Trans Rockies race is for us. Can you tell us? Not everyone listened to the Ryan Van Duzer episode where he might have talked about it because he's done this race too. He even put it all out on YouTube, and it was an epic YouTube series. And you were really excited. I think you watched the series and you got even more amped up for this event. So tell us about the event, like what the event is.
So the event is a 6-day stage run. So over the course of 6 days, you go from Buena Vista to Beaver Creek in Colorado. And the stages start at different points along the course. So the first day is a loop around Buena Vista. Then you move through the Rockies as you go, ultimately ending up in Beaver Creek, camping out at night. So each day was anywhere from about 13 and a half miles to 25 was our longest day. And usually that was taking me anywhere from 4 hours to 6.5 hours to finish the running on the day. But everything else was taken care of. So they put up your tents, they moved all of our luggage, and ultimately all I had to worry about all week was just waking up, eating, and getting out there and running or hiking.
Did you have to bring your own food?
No. So they fully catered the event. It is something they always had finish line snacks. So peanut butter and jelly, kind of your normal aid station offerings. lunch wasn't included. So if you wanted something more than that for lunch, then you could go into town, or depending on where we were at, there were various options for lunch. But that was really the only meal that we ever had to pay for. And everything else, including beer at the finish line, was all included.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Sounds like some good perks. I think I would pay a little bit extra to have them set up my tent and all that, because that's the hard stuff. Like, yes, it's hard to do the run, but like nobody's going to want to set up a tent afterwards and cook food. And so they made it easy.
They made it really easy. This was my first stage race. So it was a really good introduction, a lot of miles. But they went above and beyond. There were shower trucks at the finish as well, so we could take hot showers. On occasion, they were better than others, but the race director, Huda, is absolutely amazing, and his number one priority is making sure that the runners are having a good time. And he says that to his volunteers on at least a daily basis, probably more frequently. So
Well, real quick to let you guys know, so the Trans Rockies, it's a 6-day, 120-mile race with over 20,000 feet of vert. 37% is on dirt or gravel roads. 33 is on double trail or single track. 18% four-wheel drive trails, and then only 12% of paved road and pathways. So what was your favorite type of trail
I really
to run
like
on?
the single tracks. And actually, on the last day, there was about a 5-mile downhill single track that was absolutely amazing. It was after a long climb, but you could just go. And you had to pay a little attention to your feet, but overall, it was a lot of fun. I did not really like the dirt roads. Usually the paved and the dirt roads were at either the beginning or the end of a stage, or both. And it was leading into camp, leading out of camp. So a lot of times it was you finish on a road, and then the next day you start on that same road to get out of wherever you were.
All right, I got a couple of questions for you, Karen. How did your body do with the difference in elevation? Because I'm sure they started mile high, basically, being in Colorado, and huge mountains. And then I want to know if you made it out of the race unscathed. Like, with all that trail, were there any falls, mishaps like that?
Yeah, so overall, the elevation, I did a lot better than I expected. A lot of people, I would say, that wasn't the case. So there was a lot of dry heaving at some of the higher elevations. One person that was in the shuttle with me on the way home pretty much said that she told her coach that she's done with races with elevation, and her coach reminded her that it's not the elevation, it's the altitude. So she, I don't think, will be coming back in a future year, but overall, I would say that it definitely has an impact, and you notice that it's much harder to breathe. But I didn't have any of those negative side effects, and overall, my body held up better than I was expecting. So I've never done multiple 20-mile days in a row, and I walked away. I didn't have any serious falls. I walked away with 2 small blisters on my feet, and those really only developed on day 6. So
Sounds like you didn't try hard enough.
it wasn't so much about the race, Eric. It was about the run and enjoying the experience.
Good for you. Don't let him downplay that. I know how hard you work at everything. So I believe that you were putting in the effort and he's just being an ass.
We definitely went party pace on day 6. So there was a group of 6
I don't blame you.
decided to do party pace day 6. So we were having wine the night before. We decided we were all going to stick together, and we went out day 6. We did that. We stopped at 7-Eleven for a slushie about 3 miles from the end. We also got a 6-pack of beer so that we had something for our finish, so that we could crack our beers open in our finish line photos. And we really embraced party pace.
Insert
like
finish
it.
line photo there, because I saw it and I'm like, this is like the best picture. So you'll have to put that in there somewhere. So good.
Well, let's go through the stages and the days. But first, before the race started, we saw a very interesting video of people warming up for the race. Can you tell us about what was going on? And you missed out on this quality opportunity to warm up differently than what you
I did.
typically
Now, I
would.
don't think that anyone from the Trans Rockies run was actually in this race, but I would love to know if anyone was. But they had a burro race in town, which is a race with donkeys. It actually, I found out after the fact, is about a half marathon. So it's a 13-mile. People are running with a donkey. Some of them own the donkeys, some of them rent them just for this race. And it's part of the Buena Vista Gold Rush days, celebrating the gold rush and some of the history in town. So I got to catch the start of it, and there were over 70 participants.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
Yeah, we were kind of speculating like what was going on, and we're like, is this the weirdest like shakeout run we've ever seen? But we had no idea it was like a half marathon length. Like that's I can't imagine doing that with a donkey.
I didn't realize it was that long either until I heard they announced when they expected the first finishers back, and it was like an hour and a half later. And that made me question, wait a second, this isn't just the end of the road and back?
That's too funny.
All right. Well, let's go into the race. You get there, Buena Vista. Were you traveling by yourself or did you have a friend?
So
I can't remember. I thought you were
So I
going with
traveled
someone.
by myself, but I was meeting a couple people that I had met at the Canyon de Chelly Ultra last fall. They were my inspiration to sign up for this year. So one girl from New York City, she had a friend from New York that also came with her, and then a guy from Park City, Utah. And so we all made the decision to do Trans Rockies, not running together, but meeting there. So traveled alone, had an Airbnb in Buena Vista the first night that I was there, actually staying just in a room at this lovely couple's house. So I had a nice bed, I had my own bathroom, shower, and then after that is when I kind of transitioned to the camping vibe for the rest of the week.
All right. Well, let's talk about day one, stage one. Okay. You're in Buena Vista, 20 miles in from the map. And at some points, I might share the screen here, but it looks like this was just a loop. It looks like you started and ended in the same spot. Tell us about day one.
Day one, we did start and end at the same spot. Overall, it was kind of the day that I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I would say that it was the day that I felt the worst overall, which really left me questioning how I was going to continue running 20-mile days. But it was a beautiful course. It was through town or around town. So there were some hills. Most days, I would say, started with a lot more uphill and ended with downhill, which was a blessing. You knew that you were getting the biggest climb out of the way early. But it was kind of the day to really acclimate to altitude and get your lungs and figure out pace and just start meeting people along the course along the way.
Want to tell us about some of the people you met?
Yeah. So it was interesting because the first three stages, so the entire race, the first three stages, you could do a 3-day version or you could do a 6-day version. So there were a lot more people on the course for those first 3 days. And in general, I would say that most of us kind of settled into pacing groups of, okay, these are kind of the people that are running about my pace. And sometimes it was people that I had met on a shuttle. So there were a couple guys, there was a father-son combination that I had met on the shuttle ride to Buena Vista. And they were running, and I would run into them periodically throughout the stages. I never actually ran too much of the mileage with them, but day one, I would say that the person that I ran the most miles with was a woman named Megan, and we just kind of ended up falling into a pace together, and we would pretty much the entire race was walking up hills or even a lot of flats. And then running the downhills, and we got into a really good pace. We were definitely both hurting by the end, so we were taking it fairly slow. But she's really the one that I remember from stage one, and just the random conversations that you have with runners that are complete strangers is always so refreshing.
I feel like you can be more honest with the strangers, right? You can talk about anything.
Exactly. You really can talk about anything. And, it ranges from being on the runs or having on the runs, code browns, other roads that come up along the way. So I feel like there was a lot of that talk along the way.
Mm-hmm. Got any good stories for us?
Oh,
Yeah, like when did you meet Gandalf the Grey? Tell me
Ooh,
about that. Was that
yeah.
on day one?
Gandalf was on day 2. So day 2 is the day that we had. I don't know if it was the biggest climb, but we went to the highest elevation overall. So we were going over Hope Pass, which is
Here's your picture of
yes, there-
Gandalf.
so
Epic. I love it.
I don't know if you noticed, I tagged Karen as Gandalf and I tagged Erica as the runner.
Oh, you did?
I was not
I
Yeah.
didn't even
I
notice.
was not Gandalf. A lovely person named Steve had the best costumes and the best spots along the course. So every day on one of the climbs, he would be there in a costume, and they ranged from Gandalf. There was Naughty Santa. There was Jesus.
Naughty Santa.
So wait, you said he was a runner or just like one of the staff?
One of the volunteers. So he's actually
the volunteers.
He's actually
okay.
a race director for other races, but he volunteers at this every year and
Oh, that's cool.
costumes along. So
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's a lot of extra costumes to have to bring for, like you got a lot of gear as it is, but if you're running and wearing costumes too, that adds up real fast.
oh yeah. So I see that Eric has brought up my friend Ray here. So every stage, like I said, it was kind of a interesting. You meet someone that helps you along in that stage. At least that was my experience. And day 2 for me, it was as we were going up Hope Pass, which is kind of the well-known epic pass within the Leadville 100. They have to go up it twice. So they go up from one side and then it's an out and back course. So they have to go up the other side as well. Whereas we only had to go up one side and then we got to run down the other. But as we were going up, it's definitely one that you're getting up over 12,000 feet above sea level and you feel it. So as I was going up, I happened to hear this person talking to what they call Dawn Patrol, which is a group of people that want extra time going into a stage. So they start at 6:30 a.m. It gives them an extra 2 hours in most stages to be able to get through it. Otherwise, there would be a 9-hour cutoff. So they get 11 hours to get through these stages, get to the cutoff points. And I heard this guy talking to a few of these Dawn patrollers that, they were going slow and steady, and some of them were struggling more than others, but he was so positive and stopping, encouraging them, asking if they needed anything. And I was like, I need to talk to this. Like, I have to figure out who this is. And it was Ray. So he caught up to me, and then we were kind of going similar pace. And up the mountain, unlike here in New Hampshire, it's a lot of switchbacks. So it's just back and forth, back and forth. And we got into a really good rhythm of one of us would lead one switchback, we would rest for 20 seconds, and then the other one would take the lead on the next switchback, and we were just going back and forth. And then eventually we made it up the mountain. So it was awesome to have him there. Again, super positive person. And then I saw him periodically through the rest of the race, but we really didn't run together beyond that climb up the mountain.
That's a great system, though, switching off between the switchbacks. I know I hate some switchbacks. I'm not a big fan of those. It's just impossible to see where the top is.
I don't think this would have been your race. There were a lot of hills.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'll work up to
hills,
it,
dirt, trail.
I will work up to it.
Not much
someday.
paved, only like 13% paved.
If you do this in like 4 or 5 years, I'll join.
Perfect.
So stage 2 was your shortest distance, but your most elevation gain.
So it was kind of, you went into it thinking, okay, it's only 13 and a half miles. How bad can it be? And then it took me about 4.5 hours, which might be my longest half marathon on record. So you look at it as a lesser day. And then once you get out there, you realize that it's still a long grind.
Tell me about the camping situation, because from what I remember in the video and from what I know is you don't have to bring your own tent. Did you have to bring your own sleeping bag? Like, did you have to bring your own pillows? Did they provide everything? Every tent here looks identical. Do you just go pick a random empty tent when you get back, or do you have your own that is identified with a number or your name on it? Like, this one's Karen's, and obviously everyone's going to avoid a tent that says Karen on it. But tell me about camping.
So camping, they provide the tent. Everything else you provide. They did have some mattresses, so just Big Agnes air mattresses available to rent. But I brought my own sleeping pad, and ultimately they provide the tent. They set them up. They put them all in rows. They actually have street signs for each of
Oh, that's cute.
to try to help you get back to the right tent. Because like you said, they all look the same. So when you get into camp, they give you a little piece of tape. You go, you tag your tent. A lot of people will decorate their tent either by hanging their towel on it. I know I had brought some lights to put on mine in case I was getting back after dark and I needed to find it, because there have been, at least from what I read, there have been situations where people think that they're going to their tent and find someone else in their tent. So it's marking your tent and knowing where you're going is important.
Liquid? Was it liquid
Quite
involved?
possibly.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I didn't hear of that happening in this.
The beauty of going live.
You think that it's quiet outside, and then one of
Squirrel.
Hey, when we had Sarah on, we heard the clock at 6 o'clock going ding, ding, ding. We heard the dogs, cars, sirens. I even think a cat meowing, and the cat was meowing, but she goes, it's blind. Was it blind or deaf? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's the fun part about going live. So that's cool. All right. So camping was neat. Possibly someone random might show up in your tent and say hello. That unfortunately did not happen to you.
But you had your own tent, right? You didn't have to share with people, did you?
Yeah, so we didn't have to share. They did have doubles available, so there was a team option for this race. Both teammates still run the whole race. So it's one of those things that you could do it as a team, and even if you were doing it as a team, you still had the choice of either a double tent or each having your own individual tent. I know for me, I really liked having my own tent there because it did allow me to take a nap in the afternoon, which I did somewhat frequently. And it was just, you could kind of spread out. I will say, I actually have my duffel here. I can show you how big it is. They give you a duffel bag that you can fill with anything you need for the week. And I was amazed how quickly it filled up. So here, I'll show you this duffel.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing so everyone can see.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, I can't see.
So,
you can't? Huge. I could see everything.
Karen can fit in it.
Yeah. So.
I love it. Oh, she's literally fitting in it.
Now, can someone zip it up for it? Oh, there's
Tessa,
one of your dogs.
Will zip it up for me. So
look at that view outside too. Wow, it's beautiful.
So the duffels are huge, but I still managed to absolutely fill my duffel bag up, and it was very much. I had to stuff it shut to get it to zip every day. So
that's funny. That's funny. All right, let's go to day 3, stage 3. So on day 2, you did your shortest distance, your most gain. On day 3, it looks like your longest day of 25 miles. Tell us about day 3.
Yeah, so day 3.
I did it again. I muted myself while moving the mic.
At least you went
now. From Leadville to Camp Hale.
So day 3 was intimidating just because of the distance. It was definitely something, especially after day 2 was a bit grueling. Going into day 3, I think was a mental battle of, okay, I've got 25 miles ahead of me, looking at it like a marathon, knowing that it's going to take longer than a typical marathon with the elevation associated with it. And it was definitely grueling. It was every 7 miles they had an aid station. So generally we always had 3 aid stations. There were a couple stages that only had two or that had very limited accessibility. So it was just like a water aid station. So day 3, we did have 3. So it was kind of, you just push through every 7 miles and look at it, break it down that way. Overall, I would say that the climbs were nothing crazy, but it was definitely, you were feeling it. It was the last day that the 3-day runners were out on the course. So some of it was, you knew that they were finishing up. They might have been going a slightly different pace than what they had done before. So I saw the guy that you were showing before, Ray. I saw him a couple times on the course, and I actually made a 6-day runner friend on day 3, Lloyd, who we ended up running from first aid station to the second aid station, so about 7 miles. We did it entirely together. We caught up. I went by him at that aid station. He was chatting with his girlfriend, and so I just kept going. And then we caught up to each other at the third aid station and ended up running the last 4 or so miles together in a fartlek style of, okay, let's run to that point. Let's just try to get this thing done. And so we started talking. We became quick friends. We actually did handstands into the finish line at that stage.
That's very on brand for you.
I was going to say,
I need pictures and video of it.
I haven't gotten a good quality video of it yet, but I'll try to get that for you guys. I actually sent out a text earlier today. So we did handstands. And then the other thing with day 3 is there's a beer mile. So not only is it the longest day, but at 4:30, after you've finished the longest day, if you so choose, you can do a beer mile.
And did you?
I chose a half a beer mile.
Oh, come on, Karen. That's soft.
I'm like, it's okay. And he's like, boo.
You're better than that.
I'm not better than that. I was very happy with my half a beer mile. And so people get dressed up for this beer mile. It is such a fun event. I ended up having a dinosaur costume. Again, I'll have to get you guys a picture.
This sounds so much fun.
It was a blast, and that was why I wanted to participate, but I also didn't want to be puking from the beer that we had was Sierra Nevada, which, if you know their beers, it's not your Bud Light, it's not your PBR, it's not really an ideal beer mile beer.
A little hoppier than usual.
Yeah.
Yep. IPAs, right? They usually do IPAs.
Now, I will say Lloyd and his friends ended up bringing in PBRs for it, which I called as cheating. So they did it with their PBRs. I did my half a beer mile. I didn't finish last, though I was pretty damn close considering I only did a half a mile and everyone else did a full mile.
I love it. At least you tried. So when you say you did half a beer mile, you did a full beer, but an actual half mile, or did you do the mile and a half beer?
So I did a full beer every quarter mile for a half mile. So I did 2 beers.
Okay, that's even more impressive.
Oh, you
than I
totally
was
just
thinking.
redeemed your.
Yes.
Yeah, you totally just redeemed
so,
yourself.
So a beer mile.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you said you drank half the beer.
Well, I mean, I did drink half the beer, and I drank and I ran half a mile because the typical beer mile is 1 beer per quarter mile.
That's right. Every like lap of a track. Because I remember we were following along with the beer mile championships in Chicago this year. So insane. But anyways, that's still super cool. Like it
was a lot of fun.
Let's go into day 4, and it actually looks like from the stats. All right, it's only 2 miles more than day 2, but you have 300 feet more of climbing. This day looks like a harder climb because it is actually more. You did 3,300 feet on day 2, and you're doing 3,600 feet this day.
Day 4.
Talk about day 4.
I would say day 4, even though it was a little bit more of a climb, you were also more used to it at that point. So day 2, part of what made it so challenging was it is probably the highest elevation that I've ever climbed to. And my lungs still weren't fully acclimated. I wasn't quite there with the altitude. Whereas on day 4, I think that I had really settled in where my body had pretty much decided I was going to be an asshole every day and acclimated to it. And at that point, it's just kind of one foot in front of the other. And you get up the hills, you know that you're going to have a good downhill to recover. And you kind of get into that rhythm. I'm trying to remember day four. Day four ends at Red Cliff.
You
Right?
went from Camp Hale to
Yeah,
Red
so day
Cliff.
four ends at Red Cliff. So there are some river crossings near the end of the course. And it ended on, I think it was like a 5-mile dirt road that absolutely destroyed me mentally. It was one of those where I was ready to be done. There were margaritas at the finish because there's the little Mexican restaurant, Mango's, and everyone talks about it.
World famous Mango's Bar
Mango's
and
Bar and
Grill.
Grill, exactly. I think
Okay.
the only restaurant potentially in all of Red Cliff, but they had amazing margaritas. And by the time I hit that dirt road, I was ready for a margarita. And it just continued to go. So I did run a little bit of this stage with my friend Lloyd, and then he kind of pulled ahead. Like I said, mentally that dirt road, I walked a lot of it. There was a riverbed, so it was a lot of loose stones. And
Oh.
yeah, so just watching the ankles and pushing through.
A lot of the water stations look like maybe they're on top of the mountain. Or okay, I'm looking at one map. Looks like it's on top of a ski mountain. So it's places that are easy for them to get the station to. So when you're like in the middle of nowhere on some mountain ridge line, there's no way to get water there. But it looks like maybe on road crossings or near a ski resort where it was easy access, that's where the aid
Exactly.
stations
So
were.
a lot of times they were able to get vans and supplies into the aid stations. On day 2 and day 4, they did have minimal aid stations. So they had one that was just off of the top of Hope Pass. And that one they actually had to use mules to get the water up. So it was truly a water only, carry everything you need. And then day 4, they used ATVs to get water into one of the more remote aid stations. But otherwise, all of the aid stations were fully loaded, and the volunteers that worked at them were all absolutely amazing. They would wear various costumes, they would be dancing, they would be partying, and everything that you could need.
All right, let's go day 5. 24 miles, 4,300 feet of climbing. It looks like from the map you went across some ski mountains, some ski resorts, or maybe it was all just one. So you start at Red Cliff, you end at Vale. Vale is huge, but honestly, from the map, it looks like maybe that's 2 different ski mountains because they're on 2 different ridges, or I don't know what to call it. Tell me about day 5. Looks like a hard day, actually.
Day 5 was definitely a hard day. It was a lot of miles, especially coming off of what was really considered an active recovery day of the 14 and a half. Day 5 was, you had to just get the mindset right for another long day on your feet. So it was another one, about just over 6 hours. I'm not sure if it was multiple mountains. I know that we went through Vale. So that's kind of the main one. I think that it was all Vale in terms of the ski mountain. We went up the backside and then came down the front side.
So it looks like there's a mountain here, and this is obviously Vale, but Vale's just absolutely massive. So maybe they have multiple mountains.
They do have
I don't know. That's a whole nother mountain right there.
Front and a backside. So they had actually warned us going into this one that there were likely going to be a lot more people because obviously tourism goes to Vale and a lot of people use the mountain. This was also the first day that we had storm threats. So we had the threat of thunderstorms in the afternoon.
Oh.
We were going to be at the top of a mountain. So every night before we would go to bed, the person that designed the course would give us an update, tell us kind of what we were looking at for the course. But then we also had the medical team give us a weather update and any warnings, things that they had noted from the day. And so the day before the Vale course, they gave us the update that there was a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. So they had an earlier cutoff time to get to some of the aid stations just to try to beat the thunderstorms.
Mhm.
And it was absolutely beautiful when I was at the top of the mountain. It was one of those things that the views were amazing. And I was about 2 miles from the finish when the storms rolled in. So still on mountain, going down the front side, and a lot of the trails had limited cover as you were doing switchbacks down the mountain. So at one point, 2 miles from camp, there was loud crack of thunder, saw lightning, and at that point, some people continued running. I, along with a guy that was behind me from North Carolina named Brian, we both decided to take cover because there were a couple mountain bikers that were out that were locals to the area,
Mhm.
and they were ducking into the woods. And I decided that, if the locals are going and trying to get away from the lightning, I probably should too. So they make you carry emergency gear, so an emergency blanket, shell, gloves, and a hat. I took out my shell as we were crouching down in the woods. We were talking to these two mountain bikers, and we really just hung out there. It was absolutely pouring, and we just hung out there until the mountain bikers were kind of like, "Yeah, we think that it's pretty much blown by. I guess we're gonna go out." And I figured they're riding on metal bikes. They're more of a target than I am. So then we continue.
Now their tires are rubber. They're
Yeah.
safe. Just like your shoes, they're rubber. You're safe.
Keep
You're
telling
good.
yourself that.
Yeah.
So that was probably about a 10-minute delay in my overall run. But then we were able to get out, and it really actually made it so that my legs felt a lot better. And I was really able to just kind of coast into the finish at that point. Ended up down at camp,
Nice.
did a quick shot of Fireball, and then went and grabbed a hot shower.
Man, you guys were doing it right. Margaritas, Fireball, beer mile.
Were you properly like lubing up every day so you didn't have the shower effect after of the chafing? Were you like, taking because you're doing 120 miles, a lot of vert, a lot of sweat, weather, everything. How was like your body recovering every night?
So I don't get too many chafing or blister issues. So I know
Again, she doesn't go hard enough.
Um, I will say I did switch over to wearing a wicking t-shirt instead of a tank top on about day 3, I think, because the tank top and then my hydration vest, it was just rubbing in ways that I didn't necessarily want it to. And no matter what you put on, it's something that if you're not going to reapply at aid stations, that kind of thing, it's only going to help for so long. And they did at the aid stations have Vaseline and all sorts of options. They had sunscreen, anything you could need. But I really didn't run into too many issues. A lot of people were definitely putting on one of the sponsors was Squirrel Nut Butter. So they were giving
Yes.
samples. They had a booth set up so that you could buy some stuff there. But I've kind of figured out how to use the appropriate clothing to eliminate chafing.
Okay.
I'm still
We'll have to share that on another episode.
I'm still on the search for a sports bra that isn't going to chafe, because I usually, like, no matter, I could put Body Glide or whatever, but it's always that band in the back that just like the camelback will rub, and I have like permanent scars now just from chafing, and I can't find a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Day 6, your final day, 22 miles. So you're about to hit the 100-mile mark. Some elevation. You're going from Vail, which is very wealthy people who go to Vail, to Beaver Creek, which I think is extremely wealthy people go to Beaver Creek. So you're just moving up there. You're moving up. How was the final
So the final
day?
day was good. I will say the night before the final day, we went out in town because we were in Vail. So yeah,
Smart.
So we got a few bottles of wine, some pizza, and then we ended up at, should know the name of it, but one of the local bars, and other people did a shot ski. I did not. I got to take a video of the shot ski because luckily there were only four people involved. So I didn't get back to camp until probably about 12:30 or 1 a.m. that night.
Oh,
But that was also when we made our pact to stay as a team for day 6. So
party pace.
exactly. So there were 6 of us, and 5 of us went out the night before, and we all decided, let's have fun on day 6. Let's stay together. And so that's what we did. So woke up in the morning, getting ready. It's only 22 miles, but
But it's 5,300 feet of elevation. Is that your biggest day climbing? That is, wow. That's
I love
2,000
how
more
you
than
also said
a
only 22
only
miles.
22 miles.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, after 24, the day
63 kilometers for our European
30.
listeners.
36.
36, I mean. I mixed that up.
So day 6 was, I thought, a really fun day, and a lot of it was the fact that we did stay together. We had a really good team. The climb was pretty gradual, in terms of kind of that first bit of climb. You were just climbing for a while, but it also had that 5-mile downhill. So the 5-mile downhill, when we got to the top of that, and the people that I was running with, so one of them was Lloyd. He's done this 4 times. His friend Andrew also has done it 4 times.
Wow.
And then a girl, Talia, this was her first time. She was on a team with another girl, Joelle. And then another guy, Nick, who had volunteered once before, but this was his first time actually running it. So with the experience of the people who had done it 4 times, it helped because you kind of knew what to expect. When we got to the single track downhill, Andrew was actually the one that we were taking a party pace, but he was like, guys, I really want to run this because it's my favorite part of the course. So he and Talia kind of ran ahead, and then it was me and Lloyd were pretty much right behind them, and it was just a blast going down this thing. And a lot of people, you could tell, don't have the experience on single tracks or don't have the confidence going downhill on them. Lloyd actually did a somersault or a headstand into a somersault at one point along the way. He was seriously hurt, luckily. But it was very much grass covered, so you didn't know where there might be rocks, roots, stuff like that. So you kind of had to go with confidence and hope for the best. But then day 6, I would say that the challenge was right before the end. There was another pretty steady uphill, and that was as we came into Beaver Creek. But before that, talking about the wealthy people of Beaver Creek, we almost got to witness a road rage fight. So we were on one of the pavers.
Nice.
And someone in an Audi, and I don't remember what the other car was, but they both wanted to go to the same place. And sure enough, there were horns. Someone got out of their car. We were laughing afterwards and saying we should have started shouting, fight, fight, fight. Luckily we didn't, and they continued on. So that was the only incidents where it was like, oh yeah, rich people that have nothing better to do. But we continued on, and then as we were coming up to kind of that final climb, that's where right before that, there's the 7-Eleven. Again, the benefit of doing this with people who have done it before, they know where the 7-Eleven is. They've stopped for slushies before. So we make a little pit stop, get some slushies. Because we had taken on the team name of 6-pack, we needed a 6-pack of beer as well. So we grabbed that while we were in there, and then we continued on for the last 3 miles or so. I also learned what baby bird shots are.
What's a baby
Clearly
bird
you don't
shot?
TikTok enough.
I don't
I don't
TikTok at all.
So
Do tell.
one person takes a shot but doesn't swallow it and then spits it in person.
Ew.
Yeah. Yep. So I learned what baby
Hard
are.
pass.
Did you do this?
I had to be part of the group, so that's my initiation.
I'll go first.
There's a video somewhere. I don't know where.
So so you take the shot
And then
and
the
then
other
you-
person is like
into someone
yes.
else's mouth.
Yeah. So now you know.
Never heard of that. I was just going to say too, like, it's showing our age that we grew up in the 90s because you were like, we almost started to yell, fight, fight, fight. And nobody does that anymore. Because you know what people do now? You know
Film
what they
on
do?
their
They don't yell. They just go. They put the phone up. That's what they do. And they might say live stream fighting or whatever, but that's what they don't yell fight anymore. They
We
just
didn't rip out our
phone.
phones. But yeah, so those were the things that I learned.
No, but you took like baby bird shots.
That was aid station 3. So we had about 3 miles left or 2 miles left at that point. And it was a lot of climb. So yeah, fireball. There's lots of
Look like a great. Tell me about stage 7. And do you know what stage 7 was?
I do, because you put it in your notes.
Stage 7 is the party where you celebrate your accomplishment with this legendary party. Tell me about the party. Was it legendary?
We started the party at the finish. Well, maybe with the baby bird shots, but we started at the finish line. So we had our 6-pack. We pulled them out before we were coming up to the finish line. So we shook them a little bit. And that was really the start of the party. And then we actually hung out as everyone else finished. Oh yeah, we made a pyramid.
I love it.
So we were hanging out as people.
Is this the group you talked about that you did the baby bird shots with and you ran with for that final day?
So this was
the 6-pack.
Yeah.
So let's start with the bottom on the left in the blue shirt.
So Who's Nick. And then we've got Andrew, and then we've got Lloyd, and then we've got me.
There's
and
you.
Talia, and then Joella's on top there.
Nice.
Who did you do a baby bird shot
Lloyd.
with? Lloyd is in the middle or the left?
Right.
Oh, okay. So did he take the shot and then gave you the shot, or did you take the shot?
He gave
the
shot.
Okay.
This is funny.
You get any of the did any of it get in his handlebars and like drip and dribble on you after?
No, but I hadn't thought of that.
That is some TMI. I don't know. Like, this is so. I've never heard of that TikTok trend before.
So you only received the baby bird shot. You did not give a baby bird shot. Okay, so that next time we hang out at Reach the Beach, you're gonna have to give Erica a baby bird shot.
I don't know if I can handle that, man.
We'll
come on,
it's
for
when
content.
She comes to Trans Rockies and she can get her initiation then.
No, this is going to be. It's going to be part of. Hey, we've talked about the beer mile, and we got to do a beer mile. No, we just changed it. It's going to be the baby bird shot mile,
dude.
And that's going to be like our sandbagger. We talked about the sandbagger.
Oh God.
It's going to be awesome. It'll be like you chug a beer, then you got to give a little to your partner, like a tag and go. Oh, it's going to be great.
I hate that. I hate.
This is your.
How far.
You hate it, but at the same time, you know it's going to happen now. It just has to happen. This picture looks like a fun time, too.
That was the picture I was thinking of, the one where you're all drinking and celebrating. So that looks like so much fun.
Yeah, so this one.
It looked like a great time.
It really was. So these were the people that I knew coming in from Canyon de Chelly.
So one of those is Annette, right?
Yeah, so Annette, you met at the Gunstock 50K. She on the far right. And then her friend Jill is also from New York City. And then Danny came from Park City. So Danny and Annette both did Canyon de Chelly. And that's how we met.
There they are again. I knew they were in this photo. Yeah. Very cool. Awesome, Karen. This is a great job staying within our 30 to 35 minutes we
just
talked
like
about.
Sarah. So, Karen, what was your favorite stage out of all 6 of them? Well, I guess you could even say 7, but let's go just running stages.
So Hope Pass was amazing. And I think that it's kind of in the ultra world, everyone knows Hope Pass because of its association with the Leadville 100. So that was a really cool stage, beautiful views, but really from the team aspect and just the fun that we had along the course, I would have to say stage 6 was the most fun of all of them, just because, you're with your friends, you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
love it. Congratulations.
And what's
I'm
next?
Just so proud of you.
Yeah.
You know who
what's
else
next
is
for
proud
Karen?
of you, by the
Is it Reach
way?
the Beach or something else?
Alfredo's proud of you.
Oh, Alfredo.
He's been inflated since we were at your house.
So speaking of what's next, that is what's next is our Ultra Reach the Beach team. So that will be in mid-September. And then I've got Hamster Wheel with Erica in
Yes.
yes.
It's so fun to
That's
have like
awesome.
long distance ultra friends now. Like usually it was just me and it gets sad doing it all by myself. So now I've got you. Rachel's doing some long shit with me. Like it makes me very happy that I'm bringing you guys to the dark side. Well, you probably came in on your own, but like I'm slowly bringing more people in. It's making me very happy.
I will say Trans Rockies, I think, helped push me over to the dark side because it's definitely something that prior to this, I would be like, yeah, 50K. I don't really need to go anything over that. Now I'm like, well, if I can do 120 miles over 6 days, why not do a 50 mile or a 100 mile? We'll see what happens at Hamster Wheel and if I can get to that 100 miles. But it definitely, the more you're around crazy ultra runners, the more crazy ultras you want to do.
Yay.
Erica, I think you're screwed because you were talking about maybe Karen can help crew you at Anchor
Trans
Down.
Rockies
I
next
think
year.
you're screwed.
Well, next time
No,
she's
no.
free then.
No.
What?
No, I think she's going to run an Anchor Down. She's going to like do Hamster Wheel and qualify and run an Anchor Down.
She's welcome
totally
to,
gonna
but
do it
it's
now.
always the same weekend as Trans Rockies. So if she goes back,
Oh well, are you thinking Trans
I'm
Rockies
going
next
back to
year?
Trans Rockies next year.
All right.
I'll
Going back
allow
to
it,
Trans
Karen.
Rockies.
That's pretty damn cool. Yeah, one of these days I'll
One
keep
day.
practicing some mountains. Well, I'll do some mountains and and get up
You
there.
can always
You go do
crew or
mountains.
volunteer and
That is true too.
experience. And I know that you're the type though that if you're out there, you're going to want to run.
Probably.
Well, Karen,
I get FOMO so bad.
I have a great idea, Karen. This can help you for some altitude training. You can go out to Colorado a few months early around Memorial Day, possibly with Erica and myself, and running the Boulder 10K.
Perfect. I'm in.
We're talking about it. I think we're going to do it. We're going to fly there on a Sunday, race on Memorial Day Monday, and fly back on Tuesday. But we're like, we could actually do that.
Yeah,
and that will help you with some altitude training. You stay an extra day or you go climb a mountain or something.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'm in.
All right.
I love it.
All right. This is happening. This is going to be an OTR trip. It's happening. Boulder, Memorial Day 2024. And we can just write it off, right, Erica? We'll write it off.
Sure.
Is it actually on Memorial Day? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm still in, but I might have to also find a gym out there to drop in and do Murph the same day because Memorial
Talk
Day
about
is
epic training for you. Altitude, Murph, Boulder.
I'm also going to try to convince you to do Murph with me since you do have a CrossFit background and I don't want to do it alone. So
tell me what a Murph is.
A Murph is a CrossFit workout. It's historically done on Memorial Day. It is a mile run followed by 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then another mile run, generally done with a weight vest.
I could do like 50% of that.
I'll do it without.
And it's
I'll do it without the weight vest.
Squats.
Deal.
So we find a gym. We find a gym to do it at 6 a.m. because 6 a.m. is really 9 a.m. for us, and then we go straight from there and do the Boulder.
So what did you say? It's run, pull-ups. What was that middle one? Push-ups.
So what you do, Erica, is you break it down.
200.
You can break it down.
Okay.
You can go. So I did. It's what push-ups, pull-ups, push-ups, squats, right? So you can do 5, 10, 15. That's what I did, and I just did like 10 rounds of 5, 10, 15, and then I ran another mile. I did it in like 44 minutes. I've done it twice. It was so long ago. It was before kids. It's when I had abs, not abs. I had a flat belly. Ask Jay. Jay can confirm this.
I believe you, and I know that you beat him.
I've seen
Karen
you in a tight.
Once upon a time. So.
I did. I beat him in Karen. All right. I think we lost Erica. She's frozen.
Oh,
She's just like right now. But anyways, Karen, this was fun. Erica and I actually have another interview to do in 25 minutes, so she needs to get her Wi-Fi figured out here, and we're gonna have that. So with someone from Colorado who's probably done this race before, similar. She's done Leadville.
Nice. I can't wait.
Very
Thank
cool.
you so much.
Well, I think I'm still here, but I love you.
Karen, thank you for joining us on
Thanks
OTR
for
Live.
having me.
I don't know if you can hear me. I love you.
All right, we'll talk to you around Reach the Beach.
Sounds
all right,
good.
everybody. Karen Clark on OTR Live.
3, 2, 1,
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the pod. Don't forget, follow if you're new, follow us on Instagram. Check us out at On the Runs. In there, you'll find our link in our bio, and that will bring you everywhere. It'll bring you to our TikTok that we only use sometimes, our Facebook that we never use, our email that you can email me if you want. Some of you do that not often. I don't always check it. Just slide into my DMs on Instagram if you want to chat and get a quick response. And then our YouTube channel that is growing. And Riverside just made this new awesome feature that is going to allow me to edit the podcast episodes, the entire episodes, much easier than what it was before. So I'm thinking the beginning of 2024, we're soon going to do like every other week drops of some awesome episodes like Ryan Van Duzer, like Ashley Paulson, Erica, Nate, drop one, who,
I don't want to give it away. Neil Murphy.
we might do. Well, Neil is coming back.
Oh,
He
I
is
forgot
coming back.
we never did it with him. in the
Well, we
first
just
place.
scheduled him. Neil is coming back. So maybe going forward, like we will almost do every episode going forward, eventually, maybe in 2024. Maybe that's the goal as we continue to grow and evolve and just do more. So